You're listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and I am joined this week by a whole host of people from the Cedar Fair Entertainment Company family of parks. I'm joined on the podcast this week by Kelsey Megard from Valleyfair. Kelsey, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I can't complain. It's a beautiful day. It's a little warm here in North Carolina. I know we were talking a little bit earlier. It's a little warmer than the 40 degrees in Minnesota right now.
It is. We had snow this week, which I'm sure is probably hard for you to imagine, but it's pretty normal for us up here up north.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I can't do snow, so we're good. And then also we've got Maggie Sellers from King's Dominion. Maggie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great.
That's just
Wonderful.
a standard response. I'm great. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Thing?
It might be. It absolutely might be. And last but certainly not least, I've got Aaron Martinez from Schlitterbahn. Aaron, how's it going?
Andrew, I'm doing well. Thanks for having us on, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into a little bit of introduction with the three of you. Obviously, I know you are your PR people for your various parks, but Kelsey, I'll start with you. How long have you been at Valleyfair, and what's your favorite attraction at the park?
Well, I've been at Valleyfair for 4 years coming up this summer, and it has been amazing. I loved every 4 of them. And I think it's because every day is not the same. I think that's one of my favorite things about, the theme park industry is you get to experience something new every day. But I think my favorite attraction in the park has got to be our Renegade wooden roller coaster. That thing whips you around. It's so fun. It's so intense. It's definitely my favorite ride in the park.
Got it. And Maggie, same question for you. How long have you been with King's Dominion and your favorite attraction there?
Yeah, this is I think I did the math. It's my 7th season with King's Dominion. And kind of have to echo what Kelsey said. Every day is pretty different. But I also just love the people that we get to meet, the people we work with. You just become a family. But up until I think about 2018, my favorite ride was Dominator. And then we introduced, Twisted Timbers. I think that had to take the cake.
Of course. And then Aaron, again, last but not least, how long have you been at Schlitterbahn? And do you have I'll ask you, since you're over 2 parks, your favorite ride in Galveston, your favorite ride in New Braunfels, or favorite slide, rather.
So, yeah, I've been with Schlitterbahn for about 7 years as well. So me and Maggie are kind of twinning on that 7-year mark. I've been in my current role for just over a year. But my favorite ride altogether at both parks is Massive Monster Blaster, our record-breaking water coaster in Galveston, and similarly in New Braunfels, it's a Master Blaster. There's just something special about those uphill water coasters that are just so refreshing, and you get that roller coaster experience, but on a water slide, it's the best of both worlds.
Perfect. Well, this week on the podcast, inching ever so closely to the reopening of parks around the country. Obviously, your 4 parks included in that, but before I get into that, I have to go back and I have to backtrack to 2020. And I know we don't want to focus on the past too much.
Oh, 2020.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, if you go back to last spring, everybody had opening dates. Everybody had those opening dates pushed back. And Aaron, I'll start with you this time. Kind of when it was announced that, hey, we're going to wait 2 weeks, what was going through your head? And then as that date kind of got pushed further and further down the line, what was going through your head?
Well, we were in a unique situation because we had already opened both of our parks for spring break. So we were open for a week in the New Braunfels location and the Galveston location. And then we're like, whoa, hold the horses. Let's shut this down. Let's do what we got to do to stop the spread. It'll only take 2 weeks, guys. And that wasn't necessarily the case. So, we were working from home and, I feel like our jobs it was a little bit unique because we were the communicators to the people with something that nobody had ever experienced before. So it was fun and challenging and unique. And I'm sure I'm speaking for Maggie and Kelsey as well, that we grew very much as PR people during the pandemic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, of course.
Maggie, Kelsey, either you want to kind of same question, again, calendar was set. Mm-hmm. Maggie, you guys were scheduled to open late March, and Kelsey, you guys were scheduled to open in May. When that late March date, when those dates kind of came and went, what was going through your heads?
Oh man, I would maybe even backtrack further than that just to tell a funny story, because we were all actually together in February. All the Cedar Fair communications team got together for a summit that we do every year. And I remember we had on the board, we were writing about topics that we thought we maybe needed to like prepare ourselves for 2020. And we had written COVID-19 ? Like, is this something that we need to worry about? And then it ended up changing, all of our lives for the entire year, and now still some.
And that was the very last item on the agenda. Like, it was like, if we get to it, we'll talk about this.
Yeah, everything really, as they might say, that escalated quickly. I think everybody would agree. And I remember we mentioned we were supposed to open was it like March 23rd or something like that? But in my head, whatever. But, then I honestly thought when we said April 4th is our new opening day, I think I was super naive. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this is great. Yeah. April 4th, like, it's not that bad. And then April 4th came. And then we just, never kind of went back into the office and didn't, for us, open. It was quite a roller coaster. Forgive the pun. I've used that a lot, but it truly was. It was a roller coaster of emotions and of things happening throughout the world and the plans changing all year, really.
Yeah, I think it got real for me at Valleyfair when I started seeing our full-time team and then myself we got sent to other parks to help out. And I was like, but what about our park? And they're like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. And I was like, no, because I was so optimistic that Valleyfair would potentially open, but it just didn't work with state guidelines. But I think it was definitely very beneficial for our team, that we got to experience, the COVID environment at other parks. A lot of us spent time at Cedar Point or Worlds of Fun, or even Kings Island for a while. Like they would kind of send our team. Or a lot of us went down to Schlitterbahn to help out when they reopened the water park. So I think, with all of the negatives that came with COVID-19, that was one big positive, was that our team got to gain so much experience working at different parks and just meeting people across the industry.
Got it. Kelsey, you and Aaron both kind of touched on how you guys grew as not only PR people, but kind of as an overall team. What was going on behind the scenes during all this? Obviously, in talking to a lot of you, I know the Cedar Fair, like PR and comms people, they're a really, really tight-knit bunch. So were you guys having like the weekly Zoom happy hours and everything, and like everything else that the rest of the world was doing? Kind of what was going on behind the scenes there?
Yeah, we definitely did do some, some happy hours. I think we had a themed one. We did like a Cinco de Mayo one and a couple others, which was really fun. Those did kind of fade off once parks started reopening. I think the one thing that got me through all of COVID-19 was we have an IM group chat. And it's always just like so supportive and positive, and like we'll throw around social ideas or, just throw out encouragements to each other. And that's really fun.
Yeah, the memes and gifts get fun too. It's always nice to get that cheer up.
They do. And for me, like I said, I've only been in this role just a little over a year. As a matter of fact, I had started in this position just a few months before that comm summit that Kelsey was talking about. So this is the first time that I've met all these people. And so I go and I sit down in that first comm summit and my pen explodes all over my hand. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have ink all over my hand and I'm trying to meet these people. But it was through that I was able to reach out and depend on people, and people like Maggie and Kelsey and Chris would, Schlitterbahn was the first park to reopen. So, man, I would get encouraging text messages and encouraging IMs and all those kind of things from my team that knew what it was going to take to reopen the park from a PR and communication standpoint that really nobody else could understand. Another thing that I think was quite unique about us is we still needed to engage our social audience while the park was open. And so every time we post anything on social, we'd get the question, when are you going to open? So we had to be very creative of, hey, here's a puzzle for you and your kids to fill out. And, we're just sharing ideas back and forth and back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I deemed myself the queen of the coloring sheets. I was always we're always putting out some new coloring sheets and, activity sheets for kids and families to use at home. And I know I can speak to that as a mom, like constantly looking for something where my son was home, and needing, little activities here to do. And so, hopefully some of the adults got to enjoy that a little bit. Maybe our enthusiast friends got to, enjoy and, use that to kind of de-stress, those adult coloring books, until the parks were able to reopen. But yeah, that was a fun thing to constantly be thinking about, is what other ways could we engage.
And I would say our teamwork on social media, Erin just bringing up like needing to engage with our guests, I think we did a wonderful job of engaging with each other, even if it was like poking fun of each other. Like Erin, I'm going to call you out on this because you're here, but like they released this Mean Girls video on Twitter, like being like, oh, we're the new girl at school, and they included the logos of all the Cedar Fair parks, but they forgot us. So like it was fun to get to like jab at them, being like, oh yeah, Valleyfair gets forgotten again, like surprise there.
And just to be fair, just to be clear, it was an intern.
Sure, blame it on the intern.
Kelsey, do you even go here type situations?
That's I think exactly what I tweeted back was, we don't even go here apparently.
Yeah, it was, and then another fun thing that we did is the Coast to Coaster
that was
where
fun.
we did like a continual video of all of our, the highlighted attraction, the marquee attraction at each park, and did one big video, and we tweeted back to back, and it was a cool thread, and it took a lot of coordination, but man, it was so fun to be a part of that project, and really to be a part of a family bigger than just your park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Kelsey, I do want to go back. I know you spent some time at Cedar Point during their fall Halloween event that wasn't called Halloween Haunt. It was a Fall Fest or something like that.
Tricks and Treats Fall Fest, yeah.
There we go. What was that like for you?
It was really fun. I think at that point, I was just looking for like a semblance of normal. So getting to just be in the theme park environment again at all just like gave me so much energy and was so much fun. Also, like the whole Valleyfair team was there, so it was a really great bonding experience for us. And then on top of just bonding with my own team, getting to meet so many people from, other Cedar Fair parks from all different departments, the comms team at Cedar Fair is really close, but it was so fun getting to meet people who worked in aquatics. Like a bunch of the Schlitterbahn people came up, and getting to meet them was a blast. Or California's Great America sent a whole crew out. So like just getting to learn more about people who work in merchandise or, games or even operations to see what they do and how it differs at their park. Yeah, it was a blast.
That's awesome. And my last question about 2020, and Kelsey, I'll go ahead and apologize about this question in advance.
Okay.
When you guys got to finally reopen in 2020, how did it feel? And Erin, you guys open first, so I'll start with you, and then Maggie, I'll follow up with you.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of work going into this, and honestly, it was nice to get back to some normalcy within the parks. But man, I we were kind of the guinea pigs because we were the first to open. So hey, here's a new reservation system that, we think other parks are gonna do, but like y'all test it out. And, I think we found out 2 weeks or announced 2 weeks before the park opened that we were actually going to open. So it was a really quick turnaround. People were not quite sure what was going to happen. I remember talking to media, and media was reaching out to us nonstop. And so finally being able to tell them, hey, guess what? We're opening, and here's the information that you need to know. I think it was super fun. And like I said, there was so much teamwork that went on behind the scenes. I remember on opening day, I had to go out to the park, and I realized that I hadn't updated my social media headers. And so I reached out to Kelsey, and I'm like, Kelsey, I don't know what you're doing, but can you please create an image for me for these social headers? I forgot all about it. And, she was there, and she did it quickly, and we were good to go. So it was like all of that hard work and trying to engage our social audience. All of a sudden, we just dropped a bomb, and everybody's scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. And man, I'm so proud of the Schlitterbahn team. I think they did a phenomenal job, and the Cedar Fair team as a whole to open up the parks and to do what we had to do and to do it safely. And then here we are getting ready to open again for the second time. Sorry, Kelsey.
Absolutely. And Maggie, I know things in Virginia were a little different. Obviously, it's a state-by-state basis. And after my home park of Carowinds kind of got the green light to do their taste of the season and then, open for those 12 days of Christmas, as it were, you guys weren't far behind.
Yeah, and I'll even take it back a little bit further. Like I mentioned, it was a roller coaster every year. I mean, we were ready to open in March, and so I think that kind of like helped our teams in a way. Like we were constantly ready to go, right? Emotionally and mentally, and things like that. But then, yeah, as our guidelines just kind of stayed where they were. And we ultimately made the decision in August that we were not going to open for the key summer season. I think that was really hard on our team because we really had been ready and we, had been kind of, I think, you hurry up and you wait. And you hope that the guidelines will change and that things will look a little bit better. And then finally getting that okay, that we could do something, even just a limited capacity event like Taste of the Season and for the holidays and really be able to welcome our guests back home for the holidays was, I think I cried a little bit. I was so happy. And yeah, like Aaron said, it was a lot of work, but we were grateful. The Kings Dominion team, we got a very short turnaround notice, just because of how like our state's guidelines were kind of working at that time, to get the green light and go. It was a very, very short turnaround. And so I cannot thank the Kings Dominion team enough for being able to get the beautiful lights and the decor up and the food and just everything up and running and operational to be able to bring the guests back in. Because I think we were very grateful for our Carowinds team too for kind of leading that charge. But I have to give a special shout out to Kelsey because I leaned on Kelsey a lot too. Kelsey and I are very close, and so being able to kind of lean on her to help. I didn't have a team right when we were able to announce, and so it was just me. And so being able to have somebody help me answer everybody's questions on social, because there were a lot and very understandable questions as well. What are the guidelines? How do I make this reservation? And what do I do? People are so excited to get back to the park.
Yes. Well, Kelsey, it sounds like you're the all-star here, even though your Valleyfair didn't reopen. But as to I got to use a phrase that you guys used on social media. Oh, didn't open.
But we didn't open. Nope. But we are this year. So that's a plus side. But yeah, I don't know. I would just, comment to looking back on 2020. First of all, thank you guys for the shout outs. I was benched. I felt like if we were on the basketball team, it's like I felt like I had been benched for the season. So it was nice, like when occasionally someone would tap me in for a little bit and put my skills to use. So I was always more than happy to help. But I think it speaks volumes to, I think, Cedar Fair in general, that even though Valleyfair wasn't able to open, we didn't have any layoffs or furloughs. They decided to take the skills that we had at our park and distribute them across the company. So that way we got to keep working, we got to keep learning. And that was, I think, a really wonderful way to handle the situation.
I agree.
Kelsey, I'm going to go to you.
Okay.
Now that you guys have an opening date, how does it feel to be reopening on somewhat of a more, quote, normal calendar? And I use the air quotes just like everybody else in the world using air quotes for normal.
Yeah, normal. For a somewhat normal calendar, it feels incredible. I don't know. I think our whole team here, and I can speak for myself for sure, we just have so much energy that we've been sitting on because we didn't get to really put it to use like we would in a season last year, and now like this year we're introducing Grand Carnival and we have so many ideas and like so many things that we're excited to show the guests. And I just think of all the ideas that I have for like social media or for videos or for communicating with guests that I've been sitting on and just growing for over a year. So I'm really excited that finally, I get to be back in the park, that we get to start, seeing these ideas come to light. And I can't wait until we have guests back in the park to, get back to that air quote normal feeling.
Yes. And Maggie, are you excited to open some more rides and roller coasters other than Dominator and a handful of kiddie rides?
Absolutely. I cannot wait for May 16th for our pass holders, and then May 22nd for the public. Like I said, it was great to open for Taste of the Season, but that really was just a taste of the holidays here at the park, and just a little taste of the rides. But being able to welcome guests back so they can ride some of their favorite rides and just experience the whole park. And right now, I mean, we're kind of seeing everything kind of come back to life. You know, the landscaping is going in, the fountains are filling up, the rides are testing, and there's just something about that in the spring and summer that is just, it's rejuvenating and it's exciting. And, you know, I walk the park and I just can't wait to hear the screams. And I know that sounds like really terrible, but I know there are screams of joy. And so that's just something that I've been missing probably the most. But we are very excited. You know, this year we are opening Coconut Shores, which is a redesigned area of Soak City Water Park. We were actually supposed to open it in 2020. And so it was really cool to watch that all come together last year. But as Kelsey mentioned, like, there were so many ideas and things that we had from a content standpoint, from, you know, being able to engage our guests in these attractions and things like that, that we're just really looking forward to being able to finally do all of the things that we want to do.
Nothing against the coloring sheets, but we don't want any more Pigpen or Snoopy coloring sheets, do we?
Sure. I was really thinking that I would make a special Andrew Coaster101 one. Would that work? Would you?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. If you throw our logo on it and tweet it out from King's Dominion, absolutely, we'll do it all. And Aaron, you guys are opening at Schlitterbahn New Braunfels on May 8th and then May 15th in Galveston. How excited are you to kind of get guests back on the slides?
That's right. Man, just like these girls mentioned, we are so pumped to see guests finally coming back into our parks. You know, this is, we're getting back to normal. It's not quite at normal yet, but, you know, we're looking forward to guests coming into the parks and really to see all that Cedar Fair has put into both of our parks. Cedar Fair is spending millions of dollars into, you know, a lot of infrastructure type deals. So, you know, making sure that our bathrooms are up to par and getting new smokers and barbecue pits for our barbecue locations and all these fun things that, you know, aren't quite as sexy as a new ride. But we are spending so much money in investing into the parks and making sure what already is there that makes Schlitterbahn special is just enhanced. So I'm thrilled to let guests come into the park and enjoy Schlitterbahn and, you know, take a little piece of that iconic summertime fun home with them and build some more of those memories.
Yes. You can't have a park in Texas without good barbecue, can you? No,
not at all. And, you know, I joke with some of the North Carolina comms folks and Kansas City comms folks, like, man, like, we have the best barbecue. And Andrew, just so you know, like, when you want real barbecue, just come on down to Texas, man.
Okay. I'm going to I've got a really close relationship with Patrick and Lisa at Carowinds and also Chris at Worlds of Fun. Uh-huh. I'm going to put my barbecue opinions kind of just out to the side, and I'm going to agree with everybody. Barbecue is barbecue, and it's delicious. So we're going to go there.
Okay. All right. Let's do that.
I've had the barbecue at King's Dominion, too. Also really good. I don't really know if Virginia's kind of a barbecue state, but they do well. They try.
We appreciate it. We appreciate your thoughts.
Okay. Well, I do have to go into it. I know this is a concept that's changing almost daily at this point, but last week, Cedar Fair as a whole, they announced kind of a new updated safety procedure and guidelines. The elimination of temperature checks at the beginning of the day. You no longer have to pre-fill out the survey on the park apps, and that survey will be conducted by the respective parks. I guess the difficult question is, because these things are so ever-changing, is it difficult for you all to communicate just I don't want to say a unified message, but is it difficult just to kind of stay up to date on the latest messaging?
Yes.
Yes.
But I think that's true anywhere you go in any state. Yeah. There's so many state guidelines that vary from state to state. And what I think that Cedar Fair has done a really great job of is, you know, establishing our own. We have our own safety protocols and making sure that there are some things that are consistent around the parks. But I mean, for an example, in Virginia, you know, at this time, you have to wear a mask at any time, unless you're eating, drinking, or on a water park ride and attraction. I could do that little spiel all day. And I know that's different at other parks. So I would say that if anybody is planning to visit any Cedar Fair park, you have to check the website. I think that's going to be the best thing to do for the park that you're visiting. Make sure that you've brushed up on what the opening protocols are, because they could change.
Yes.
They probably are going to change. They're changing so quickly. We don't open until May 22. Who knows what it's going to look like a month from now?
Right.
Yeah.
And not only are our protocols changing, but CDC guidelines are changing, state mandates are changing. So we're just trying to keep up with this train ride and learn more about how to keep our guests and our associates safe, because that is our number one priority through all of this.
Absolutely. And we here, we park PR people and comms folks, we're going to do our best to make sure that we can communicate when those updates happen with our guests. And so that way everybody can stay up to date.
And then the one thing I do want to ask, and this is kind of more of less of a COVID safety thing, but more of kind of like enjoying my own personal space. Will the social distancing markers still be in the queue lines?
They will at Valleyfair.
Yeah.
But again, I think it varies by state, what state mandates are. So, and that again is likely to change. So as Maggie mentioned before, if that's something that you're maybe worried about, visit the park website before you head out the door, just to double check, because that's where you'll find the most current information.
Awesome. Yeah. Again, more personal space than anything. I've got a vaccine. I'm good to go. So I want to give the three of you the opportunity to kind of hit us with your best PR spiel. And Aaron, I will start with you.
This is a lot of pressure.
Yes. Why should guests visit Schlitterbahn, Galveston, and I cannot say this word. Schlitterbahn New Braunfels in 2021.
Man, well, Schlitterbahn is the leader in water park fun. We are an iconic summertime destination in Texas and regionally as well. If you want to have the most fun in the summer, you come to Schlitterbahn. You can experience, we have something for everybody. You can experience high thrill attractions. You can experience kiddie areas. You can relax in our lazy rivers or our wave rivers or our torrent rivers. There's something for everybody at our parks, and we are all about fun, man. I think that's something that we all share in common is our jobs are fun anyway, and then we get to market and communicate such a fun park. Man, come on out to Schlitterbahn, Galveston, and Schlitterbahn New Braunfels for the most fun you can have.
For being on the fly and being under a lot of pressure, that was really good.
We have some practice, a little bit.
I hear you. Kelsey, what about you?
All right. Well, especially for your listeners who I know are always interested in, the fanciest, newest, fastest roller coaster, Valleyfair sometimes gets left off the map, and it should not, because we are a wonderful park. We have an amazing attraction lineup. We have so many different unique and fun rides. I would, talk about, especially with like your listeners, if you have not ridden Excalibur, which is an original aero coaster, it's like the hybrid before they even started calling them hybrids. It's such a fun ride. Like, come out here just for that. Another super fun ride is Steel Venom. It's one of the last impulse coasters that still has the holding brake at the top, which is insane. People come here solely just to ride that ride. And then outside of like big thrills, like Aaron said, we have something for everyone. But and even more than that, we are such like a cute and charming park. Our landscaping is amazing. Our food is delicious. And I feel bad saying this with my other Cedar Fair folks on here, but we have the nicest associates that you will ever come across. Like, if you come to Valleyfair, Minnesota Nice is a real thing. Like, and you will walk away being like, whoa, who are all of these associates here, and why are they genuinely invested in like how my day is going and how my wife is doing and how the dog is at home? Like, it's an experience to be in the park just with all of the people that we have. And I think that's what makes Valleyfair really special.
I love it. And yeah, I'm still trying, Kelsey. I'm trying to put my trip to Valleyfair on the calendar this year. It's going to happen. And at the top of my list is Excalibur, but also, like you mentioned, Renegade, Steel Venom, and Wild Thing. I've got to ride them all. And again,
they're all good. I mean, we have a variety. It's just, they're not new, but they're classics and they're wonderful.
Absolutely. I love it. And Maggie, bring us home. Why should people visit King's Dominion in 2021?
All right. Let me go. Okay. So why should you visit in 2021? Well, King's Dominion is we're Virginia's amusement park tradition. Year after year, world-class coaster after world-class coaster. There's tons of thrills. I think everybody knows that. We've got, Intimidator 305, one of the tallest and fastest on the East Coast. It is intimidating to look at, and it's even more fun to ride. Twisted Timbers, hybrid roller coaster, one of the first of its kind in the Mid-Atlantic. But on top of all of that, I think, Kings Dominion has changed over the years in so many positive ways. And I think one of the things that I recognize on top of our fantastic team all across the board is the food. And maybe I'm just a self-proclaimed foodie, but I cannot get over the food changes that have been happening at the park. We've got Soak City and that fun new attraction for families, but inside, and part of that is Beach Street, which is this unique food truck style dining experience where you can grab and go. We recently released the menu on our Kings Dominion blog, shameless plug there. But just absolutely mouth-watering on top of that, Grain and Grill, and making sure that we are staying true to our Virginia roots with locally sourced ingredients. You can pick from proteins and fresh sides, whether it's veggies or grains. There's plenty of vegan options. And then new Dogwoods hot dogs, gourmet hot dogs that are loaded to the brim. I cannot get enough of the food that has been coming to this park. And that I have to give a shout out to our incredible executive chef and culinary team for all of that. So you come for the ride, you stay for the food, right? Or is it the other way around? You get to choose, though. That's the perk, the beauty of that. And on top of that, we've got thrills for everybody. You could be the thrill-seeking parent and still find something fun for your child. And just be able to come and make those lasting memories, which I think is what everybody's been really missing out on, Yeah.
Just the fun, genuine moments to have in the park is going to be so great to get back to. It's just to hear a kid laughing, riding their first ride, or, to hear people screaming bloody murder, dropping on Power Tower. I don't know if you can hear it. They're testing High Roller right now outside of my office. But during the season, I hear them say, enjoy your ride on the High Roller about 500 times a day. And I can't express how much I miss that. And I might shed a tear when I hear it for the first time this season.
I love it. That is wonderful. Well, if you're listening to this podcast, make sure you're following all these parks on their various social media channels at Schlitterbahn, at Valleyfair. You guys are at Valleyfair MN, correct?
At Valleyfair MN, correct.
Yes. And then at Kings Dominion VA.
Yeah.
They are across all platforms. If you type in the park name, you will be able to find these, all the hard work that Aaron, Kelsey, and Maggie are putting forth out there. And like we mentioned earlier, be sure to check out the park websites, especially if you're getting ready to visit. Even if you need a refresher, at this point, you're going to need a reservation to visit, so that's important. But just make sure you know what you're doing going in, and know that these associates are just as excited to have you back as you are to be back at the park. Please don't give them any grief for any other unnecessary reason. That's just my PSA to everybody listening. But just like you're supposed to follow all the parks on social media, make sure you're following us. We are at Coaster101. We also have a website. We've got good articles from time to time, like an article about Cedar Fair's reopening that hit last week. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, fan mail, or hate mail, feel free to send us an email at podcast@coaster101.com. We'll even take barbecue opinions, really, and I'll forward them to Aaron. So, thanks, as always, to JM Music Design for our theme music, and thank you again to Aaron, Kelsey, and Maggie for their time today. 2021 going to be a really great year for Cedar Fair and amusement parks across the country and furthermore the world. And we're just as excited as you are to get back out there. But thank you all again so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Coaster 101 podcast. We will talk to you all again next week. See ya.